Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Welcome to Track Talk, your connection to thoroughbred horse racing from coast to coast and beyond. The latest news, development, stake race analysis, and interviews inside the sport of kings. From California, New York, Florida, and Kentucky, and wherever Major League Racing takes us, we got you covered. It's post time. And we are live in San Diego on a Sunday, the second big day of the Super Bowl weekend. Welcome to Track Talk inside the studio. Tommy D working the show coast to coast alongside the captain on a Sunday that we'll just get right into the warmth of things because it is freezing on the East Coast. Racing has been canceled back in New York at Aqueduct and Laurel, Penn, Parks, and the Eastern Seaboard has just been cycloned. I think that's what they're calling it. Anyway, we're happy to be here on a Sunday. Show number 2, Track Talk. We are coast to coast. We're originating from the WS Radio studios here in San Diego, California. And along with you, we have the privilege and the pleasure of bringing into the radio program live from New York at 8:02 on a Sunday morning, my friend, the one and only Frank Miramati. Frank, top of the morning. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, Felix, and congratulations on your show and continuing to grow it.
Well, we're just trying to promote this game. You know, we do the work every single weekend, 52 weeks of the year. We promote this game because I think that there's a labor of love. There's a passion inside our soul, maybe that we all have a different passion, but we still get the same result of what our intentions are about viewing the sport of kings.
There's nothing quite like the sport of kings. It's I remember back in the 80s, I remember those races a lot better than I remember what I just saw last week. So, it's important to get the young people involved in the game and to get them interested because when they come out to the track, particularly on a good weekend day, anywhere in California where you are, they're going to have an experience that is going to make them want to come back. But I think it's important in this day and age when there's so many distractions and, no one even picks up the phone anymore. Everyone's texting and no one answers the phone and people, they want to get entertained at all moments. They don't have the patience to even try something new, but they need to come out to the horse races and see what the greatest sport is all about and the personalities and the jockeys and get a chance to meet the people and to feel that electricity. And, it doesn't get any better than what you have there at Del Mar during the summertime.
Oh, by the way, have you tweeted that you were on our show this morning? I just was curious if you sent out a tweet.
I did not send out a tweet. Actually, my tweets are extremely limited, my friend.
Tommy, you send out a tweet inside the studio. We go to Saratoga Tommy D inside the studio on a Sunday morning. Did you tweet out that we had Frank Miramati on the radio program this morning?
Oh, good morning. No, I did not get the chance to do that, but I'm going to do it right now as we're talking. I'm going to let everybody know that he's on here with us.
All right.
I won't be ranking that as the most important news on this Sunday morning. I can rest assured.
Oh, it's very big. It's very big because we only go to the top shelf of guests. When we bring them on, we've huddled up just like the Rams did at the Coliseum yesterday.
Oh man, that was rough.
They did show up. They did show up. No. We have a bottom line sports show that follows this show that we're producing, and we had a pretty good opinion on what was going on. I've been on Atlanta for the last 4 or 5 weeks, but that's not what we're going to talk about. I want to talk about you, Frank Miramati. What a whirlwind. I mean, when you reflect upon, and you and I have been friends away from this radio program, and when you really think about it, and you can share with our audience about how it has made you feel and what you have accomplished in your career, but what you had to overcome, you're here, you're there, and now you're back in New York, and you like the big stage.
Everybody loves the big stage, and let me tell you, the job at Golden Gate Fields, which I ended up getting, and not only getting, but getting the flexibility from the Stronach Group to work around my schedule at Monmouth, which was a very, very kind deal, because what happened was I left the Oakland job after the 2015 season when Trevor Denman retired to audition for Santa Anita. And in doing so, I had to take a calculated risk, and I guess I wasn't the greatest odds maker in the world. I made myself the favorite. And unfortunately, the favorite, just like the Rams yesterday, didn't come through, right? Same with the Chiefs. At least I'm not a Chiefs fan today. My goodness, what was that all about? Anyhow, I gave up the Oaklawn job, and after they hired Michael Rohn, I was offered Golden Gate. And I had to think about that because I really didn't want to give up Monmouth. Monmouth was a place that I liked maybe 10 times more than I would have expected, and I expected to like it quite a bit. And so I had a tough decision to make because Golden Gate offered a year-round, very comfortable job and a great surrounding, and I had become familiar with the booth and the people during the audition process, going for 2-3 weeks at a time. But I elected to stay with Monmouth. After I made that decision and turned down the Golden Gate job, they were so kind to offer me to come to Golden Gate anyway, starting in the fall, and to be able to miss what worked out to be about 40 days of the meet in order to be at Monmouth Park because they could get Michael Rona during August and we could get a replacement for the 6 weeks or so, May and June. So that created a great year-round opportunity. And Golden Gate Fields is one of the best jobs for a track announcer. I've worked at a lot of places over 20 years, and Golden Gate Fields is a great booth, great sightlines, beautiful part of the world that many want to live in, and that I thoroughly enjoyed living in. I had a nice apartment in Pleasanton, about a 40-minute drive away, very economical, and just a great deal all around. I was comfortable with the Northern California scene, having worked on the fairs for 9 years. But when the opportunity came up to come to New York, I mean, New York is the ultimate stage. You know, there's the Broadway shows here. It's New York racing, New York critics. And I just said, how do I not go? And let me tell you this. When it comes to cold, I consider 50 degrees freezing. So what I'm experiencing here in New York is not exactly ideal weather conditions. But as you mentioned previously, I've gone through some things in the last couple of years that were not very pleasant. I got a little bit of stage 3 cancer that came my way that, thank God, is, according to my scans in September, I'm completely cancer-free and clear after 2 surgeries and 6 months of chemotherapy. But you know what? If ever a man understands the term life is short, it's yours truly. And the opportunity to come into New York and to call races here is such an honor. And it was something I really didn't think long about it. I made the decision immediately. And then after I made the decision, I started thinking to myself, this is a pretty good gig here at Golden Gate. You know, what's important? Is it important to just, you know, do what's comfortable and do what, you know, is something that I enjoy and I'm certainly happy with? And, you know, we get a lot of exciting races there. And or do I go to New York and just just put that in my past performance lines? And to me, it was just something I had to do. And I just met the new general manager, who I like quite a bit, David Duggan, and I thought to myself, man, this is tough because this guy is so cool, and I know he's really pushing to grow this place. But ultimately, I had to come to New York, and I don't regret it one bit. It's a fantastic city. It's very hectic. It's very expensive. You can't leave the house without spending quite a bit of money. There's a grocery store down the street from here. I mean, gift shops in the airport make this place look cheap. The prices are ridiculous. I mean, the items, I just laugh. I go, this guy must be stacked up beyond belief with the charges. But you know what? There's no other market nearby. So what are you going to do? And so far I've called 7 days, and I've had 6 days cancel on me, including this entire weekend. But we'll be back at it next Thursday. And I'm calling about 30 days of this meet, backing up John Imbrial. And it's a perfect schedule for him. It's a perfect schedule for me. And great sight lines. I absolutely love it out here.
You're so big, you stopped the action back there. That's how big you are. But let's be frank for a moment. And yep. I want to share with our audience, because maybe I'm out of line and out of school in saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. You almost died a period of that time when you were in a hospital for your colon, I do believe, and you know, we were in communication, and we stayed in touch, and I was quite concerned because I knew how serious it was. So, I mean, you overcame death by being in that hospital, maybe not to a major degree, but you were in a serious situation where they removed a pretty large portion of your colon, right?
Absolutely. In fact, when the first time they took maybe about a quarter of it out in an emergency surgery that lasted over 5 hours. And this past year at the Haskell, one of my surgeons the second surgeon in command, came out and hung out with me, and he kept telling me that this surgery that he had with me was the most complicated surgery that he had ever been involved in. And I wanted to know why, and he said, one day over a drink, we'll talk about it. Well, he came there, he had his baseball cap on backwards, he was wearing shorts with a bunch of friends in a very casual atmosphere, and he had definitely had a few cocktails. And when he came up to the booth, I said, Doc, it's been a year now. Talk to me about this complicated surgery. What was going on? And he explained, basically what he told me. And look, I'm a germaphobe. I don't even like to shake hands. I like the old fist bump move. Doc told me that basically what happened was I had a blockage in my colon, and it was from this tumor. And basically they went in there, and they were having a difficult time removing this one tumor. And they couldn't even get to a colonoscopy, and they couldn't even get to the sigmoid, which we found out 6 weeks later I had more cancer, and it was always a very pleasant update. But anyway, here's what he described to me. Just imagine this feeling for a minute. It just kind of makes me wince thinking about it now. He said that he, Dr. Snepar, and the main surgeon, Dr. Zerkowski, with Led Zeppelin on in the background, were both elbow deep into me, trying to pull this tumor out from under my spleen. Just the thought of that is so nauseating. But these guys did that, and the track doctor, Dr. Chinichi, at Monmouth Park, had pleaded with them that whatever they could do to not give me a colostomy bag, to just pull out all the stops. And in fact, that was my last. When they wheeled me in, I didn't even know. I couldn't even believe what was happening. When the doctor came, they're like, "Look, I got to go to California." And then the doctor was looking at me, Dr. Zerkowski, before the first surgery. And after a little while, I realized I'm not getting out of here. I'm going under the knife very shortly. And I said to him, I go, Doc, please no bag. And he looked at me and he said, Frank, no one comes in here and says, give me a bag. We understand. But Dr. Chinichi, a lifesaver, really pleaded with them. And so they had to work extra to kind of put me back together. Whatever that means. I try my best not to know what that means, because anytime I Googled any of this stuff, it was not pleasant to even look at or think about. So I just kind of went in there, and I didn't know if I was getting out of there. And when I went in, when they wheeled me through that hospital down to that surgery room, and I want to thank Tom Cassidy and his beautiful wife Audrey for being there with me during that tough time all day long. I just said, Lord, if this is it, I understand. That's exactly what I said. And somehow I got out of there. I had been to another hospital. After what happened was, after that first surgery, I was then told that they should probably, when they found the other cancer in me, I went to MD Anderson in Houston. They recommended they take out my entire colon, and thankfully I ended up going to another opinion, and I went to Memorial Sloan here in New York City, and they recommended doing another surgery to take out. So essentially, I've got about half a colon, and it's not slowing me down whatsoever. In fact, I'm still a big boy, and I'll tell you what, I'm so grateful for the people that have taken care of me and looked after me and supported me. And somehow, I've heard stories about people going through chemotherapy and how difficult it is, and it certainly wasn't fun. A lot of effect on the hands and the feet, but thank God we're doing okay and we're kicking strong. That was a year and a half ago almost now. August of 2016 was the first surgery, and then November of 2016 the second surgery. And my next doctor appointment's in March. Do some scans, and the good news to me was in September they just told me that my next colonoscopy will be in 3 years. So they liked what they saw, and talk about sweating out a photo finish, my friend. That's a photo you really don't want to have to sweat out when you do the scans. And they have to tell you what the story is.
And plus, let's be quite honest about it. That in addition to all what was happening to you, and a lot of people, you were a very private person. Only a few people knew exactly how serious the situation was, and you were in my prayers every single day. And then
I need it. Keep them going, brother. Don't you dare stop.
Well, don't forget who thinks about you during the tough times, and don't forget about me. Okay,
I don't forget about you. When you tell me to be on this show, even though we're not racing, I know one thing: I'm not going to give you any horses that lose today.
Well, absolutely right about that. But I want to make a point. You went through like a competition battle with Michael Rona at Santa Anita, and maybe I'm talking out of school again, but I think that was the job that you always coveted. Am I correct?
Of course. I mean, that's no secret. You don't give up Oaklawn Park for any. There's no scenario I ever give up Oaklawn Park for any job except for the
Why?
opportunity.
What's so great about Oaklawn
Park? Keep in mind, this was before I was diagnosed.
Okay.
My whole thing happened, 4 months after the end of that audition. Is when I went into surgery.
I got you.
I wasn't battling in the middle of that.
Okay, well, you didn't know that, but you were still
Yeah,
facing.
believe me, it was there. It was there inside of me during that time. There's no question.
Exactly, and that competition creates a lot of stress. What's so great about
There's
Oaklawn?
No question. No, that was a stressed out situation. And the thing about my job, I love calling races. I enjoy it because it gives me an opportunity to just simply zone in and not think about anything else other than that race at that time. And I try to call races in the style of the greatest of all time, Trevor Denman, in my opinion, because Trevor has a unique sense of how a race is developing and description. And I've tried to, my goal has always been to be his number one student. That would be, for me, unfortunately, in life you always want to be the best at what you do. I have absolutely no chance with guys like Trevor Denman, Tom Durkin, Dave Johnson, all these legends over the years. That's not happening. So my number one goal would be to be known as Trevor's number one student. That would be my top priority because no one's ever going to come close to him. He's got the voice, the delivery, and the eye that's second to none in his career.
I agree with you. I appreciate that. Inside the studio we go. Tommy D. Frank Marimati, I'll tell you, he's back in New York. Aqueduct is canceled until the 11th, but like Frank said, that he won't give us any losers today, and that's a good thing. And Frank is ready for Aqueduct is a pretty exciting place in the wintertime, and then we get ready for the Triple Crown Series, of course, always Belmont Park, the last portion of that, and so
I get to call the Gotham.
Pardon me.
I get an opportunity to call the Gotham State.
You're right where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be in New York. Tommy D, you take it away.
Yeah, Frank, thanks for joining us. And awesome story, way to come over, tremendous, overcome to where you are today. And glad you made it. And my question to you is, the jockeys in Aqueduct, I know they just resolved their issue with the Jockeys Guild. I didn't know if you could tell us maybe a little bit more about that, how the jockeys are feeling about it, both sides of the situation, and what's the feeling there? Do the jockeys feel like they got a fair deal and so forth?
Rest assured, without knowing a lot of the details other than what I read, just as most people did online, if they came to an agreement, they're happy. And, the jockeys are heroes out there. They're risking their lives every day. They make a ton of money, and they deserve every bit of it. And keep in mind, not every one of them makes the kind of money that the big-time jockeys do. But, these guys and gals are risking their lives, and we find out every day how dangerous it is out there. You're moving on a 1,000-pound animal at 40 miles an hour in tight quarters. It's not easy. It's not, glorious. But, for them, it's what they live to do. And when they have any kind of disagreements, when they come to a resolution, it means that all parties are happy, and we have some of the best jockeys in the world. I know Irad Ortiz had enough of the cold, and he just went straight down to Florida, and he didn't waste any time getting into the winner's circle. That was bad news for the fellow Florida jockeys down there. But I'm sure that everything is rosy between both sides on this arrangement.
So what was the key factor? What was the defining factor of you leaving California to go back in New York? I know that you're going to do some TV work as well, so you definitely had a plan. Was it a tug of war of making that decision, and what was the key factor in making that decision?
The chairman of the board said it best: if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. This is New York, and that's the bottom line. You get a chance to call some of the big races. I'm going to call the Jerome next week, which was won by Distorted Humor years ago. Any race that Distorted Humor was in was good for me. I work at Monmouth Park. The schedule is absolutely perfect with the two. And it's just like anything. It's like a horse, right? If you think about it, if a horse is running at Golden Gate, which is a great venue, and they get a chance to go into a stakes race in New York, that's a good opportunity for them, and they've got to make the trek and ship.
So, are you saying?
As much as I can't stand the cold, you can't even imagine how little I like the cold.
Yeah,
it's freezing out there.
Yeah, but when you got money, it doesn't make a difference.
That's what, yes, it does make a difference at all times. And,
okay, especially live in New York, like you said, it's expensive.
New York
city.
is, no, I'll tell you one thing. Everything's expensive. It's ridiculous.
Right.
You should see the prices on some of these. I went and looked at a couple of apartments that I would have to have regarded as a complete dump that was 3 times as much as I was paying in Pleasanton. And I'm like, wow, this is out of control.
For how much?
It's an opportunity. I looked at an apartment for $3,800
a month.
That I said to the guy as soon as I walked in, I go, absolutely not. And I mean, it was just like I said, look, man, I'm not going to be able to live in this particular area because the answer is no shot. I mean, I don't like to waste. Look, I've been in sales for a long time. I don't like to waste people's time. I'm not going to say, we'll call you in 3 hours. I'm never calling you again. I went and looked at a place in Brooklyn. I said, when this guy rents this apartment, he deserves a bottle of champagne. I couldn't even believe it. That place was priced the way it was. It's shocking. It is really, really shocking. What I'd like to do is knock on some doors and say, excuse me, what do you do for a living? Because I'd like to know how you're living here.
Yeah, exactly right. New York. Tough. Hey, listen, I want to share something because it's really important. And, when I really saw your genius at work was a night in Delmar maybe 3 or 4 years ago when for the Edwin Gregson Foundation, they were paying tribute to an icon in our industry, and that was the late Jack Van Berg, the trainer of Ali Sheba who won the Kentucky Derby. Now, you are extremely, and you were, and probably in spirit still extremely close with Jack Van Berg, and I believe you're doing a special service in his honor.
Tomorrow, as a matter of fact, is his memorial, and he asked me, I'll tell you how he asked me. We worked together. It's funny you mention how close we are because we made an instant connection. But I really haven't hung out with Jack Van Berg on numerous occasions. We've spent some time together. But when we've done so, it's been at that Eddie Gregson function. It's been at the racetrack chaplaincy when he was doing some auctioneering. And it's been at a party that we had that the Mosses threw, and they hired me and Jack to entertain the crowd and honor Zenyatta. I had to wear a tux that night, which I didn't like because I didn't own one, which meant I had to wear some tux that some other people were wearing.
Right.
But anyway, Jack and I that night were having an absolute blast, and we had the crowd rolling. And Jack looked at me in front of the crowd, and he looked at me and he said, Frank, when they put me in a box, I want you up there talking about me. It's exactly the way he said it. I said, yes, sir. And on a couple of occasions since then, he has reminded me and called me about that. And on Christmas Day, I was visiting my mom, and my phone, I had my ringer off because I was just trying to, for a change, just actually stay focused on where I am because I can get distracted very easily, especially with the telephone. And I looked and I saw a number I didn't recognize. I just figured, wow, I can't believe bill collectors actually call you on Christmas. This is legendary. Let's hear who this is. And I listened to the message, and it was Jack's daughter, Tracy Van Berg, and my heart sank immediately when I heard that. But then I kind of got this feeling of relief when she said, hey, I'm with my dad, and he wants to talk to you. I said, phew. So I call back late Christmas night, and she answers the phone, and she says, I'm in the hospital, and Jack wants to talk to you. So she hands him the phone, and I said, Jack, are they giving you a hard time in the hospital over there? Just trying to immediately add some levity to the situation. And he, in a very serious tone, said to me, Frank, I need you to talk at my funeral. I said, sir, we've gone over that. Absolutely. I'll be there. And then he told me that he wanted Chaplain Rich to do the service, which is Chaplain Rich Heffington, who's the chaplain at Oakland. He said that he had talked to Rich about that, and I said, I'll make sure I get in touch with him, sir. Don't worry. And I could just tell he was having a hard time. His voice was a little bit on the rough side. But just to show you what a legend this guy is.
How big of a legend was he?
Always will be.
How big of a legend? Give us a funny story about Jack Van Berg.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. This is what imagine this. Less than 48 hours later, he would pass away and go to heaven. You know what his question to me was? What are your days off? That's what he asked me, because he was trying to orchestrate a time in which I could be there to take care of business at his funeral. And I said, Jack, please, don't worry about what my days off are. I'll be there, and if someone else has to call the races, they'll call the races, Jack. I promise. That's what I had to assure him.
Where's the service going to be held? Where's the service?
It's going to be in Hot Springs, Arkansas, as a matter of fact, and they're going to hold the actual service. There's a visitation at the funeral home, and there's a service. And in order to accommodate the people, they're having it at nothing other than the convention center. And there's going to be an enormous crowd there. In fact, I've been working the last couple of days. When you just called, I'm still trying to type this thing out because there's so much to say, and there's no way to cover it all. But I just want to make sure I honor that man. And I know one thing about it, is that this is about a celebration. And the reason he wanted me there was to make sure that this, wasn't a somber situation. Well, of course, it's very somber, but he wanted to celebrate his life. You know what else he did? And it's written in the papers. I mean, all you had to do is read online the brilliant writing of Mary Rampolini and Jay Hovde and some of the others, and Steve Bick put together an outstanding 3-hour memorial for him. But he wanted the service to be after training hours, but before feed time. I mean, he orchestrated everything from his hospital bed to the very end. And the number of lives that he touched and the number of people that he affected and the greatness that he displayed, and not only as a horseman and someone who taught so many people, but really the kindness in his soul and how many people he helped, how many people he fed, how much time he dedicated and gave to others. That's what's most remarkable about this man. And whenever this type of thing happens, you reflect. You can't help it. People that are going to be in attendance are going to reflect. And you know what? He left a legacy that will never be remembered. He was bred to be a Hall of Famer, and he became one. And then he just touched so many lives, even more so than his great father Marion did. And that's an impossible feat.
Give us an impersonation of Jack Van Berg.
I can't really do it. I've been listening to him, and
come on, you can do everybody. All right, how about D. Wayne Lucas?
Well, we always felt, when people talk about the D. Wayne Lucas program, they talk about D. Wayne off the plane. And I'm here to acknowledge to you, Felix Taverna, that even though we did the job and we won the Eclipses, the first guy to do that was Jack Van Berg. He had horses in Rockingham, Detroit, and Nebraska, and New Orleans, and he set the stage. And then we went out with our team, and we kind of emulated that program, and our record speaks for itself as well. But Jack was one of a kind.
Track announcer Trevor Denman calling Elisheba winning the Kentucky Derby.
They confirm, and now Bet Twice is asked to go. He kicks on. Well, Elisheba just took a bad step. Chris McCann goes to the left hand, and Elisheba lengthens his stride. Here comes Elisheba like an express train. Bet Twice, Elisheba. Elisheba's got him, and Elisheba has won the Kentucky Derby. One of my favorite calls was, I don't remember which race it was, but it was in the Strube series, and he says, "Can Elisheba give these 9 pounds to Candy's Gold?" I still remember that vividly. I'm going to go look that thing up. That was great stuff back in the day.
And about Rodney Dangerfield dropping in.
Tell you what, you kidding me? I got no respect at all. So you kid this Jack Van Berg. Ooh, I tell you, he was something else that day. Last thing he did in bed was he wanted a Bud Light to say goodbye to everyone. Ooh.
And the marvelous Marv, as you would close it out. Marv Albert.
There is no question, Felix Taverna, and the entire audience here this morning, we pay tribute to an absolute icon. Jack Van Berg has passed away, but ladies and gentlemen, this will be a celebration. His 3 dogs will be taken care of, and there is no question that his son Tom will keep the purple and gold colors flying in Hot Springs. This is Marv Albert saying so long to an icon, Jack Van Berg.
Frank Miramotti, you're one of a kind. I love you, brother. With that, we'll say Happy New Year. Get your Sunday off and running. We got 2 great football games a little bit later on, and you're back in New York. You're healthy. You made it, my friend. Thanks for joining us on Track Talk, our initial debut weekend here from San Diego.
Thanks for having me, my friend. See you soon.
All right, buddy. Frank Miramotti, Tommy D, the captain inside the studio. Pretty interesting. That night when they honored Jack Van Berg, who was an icon, as Frank mentioned, there's no doubt about it that the people that he trained to become great trainers, and the first one that comes to my mind is the one and only Bill Mott. Bill Mott worked under Jack Van Berg for many years, and Do you think Bill Mott is one of the top 10 trainers of all time?
Bill Mott's right. Bill Mott's right there, and the way I look at it, I had a chance to sit down with Jad Vandenberg about 5 years ago at Del Mar, and we were sitting in the clubhouse in the veranda overlooking the paddock, and he had a claimer running, and I go, You've had so many horses, Mr. Vandenberg. What do you look for when you're looking at a horse going down the backstretch to think that you still have a shot in this race? He goes, I look at the jockey's hands. If the jockey's got quiet hands, then I know that the horse hasn't been asked yet, and I know that he's looking around. And if you see the jockey start to look around underneath his arm or between his legs, you know that jockey's got a ton of horse, and I've never forgot that.
Ellie Sheba, going back to Ellie Sheba, that's when I really got interested in racing. And if my memory serves me correct, Ellie Sheba won the race prior to the Kentucky Derby and got disqualified. I can't remember what race that was. Tommy, if you have some time that you could go ahead and cue that up and find that, Ellie Sheba, or somebody could email it that's listening to the radio program. It wasn't the Derby trial. It was a race prior. It might have been the Toyota Bluegrass, if I stand correct, where Ellie Sheba won the race, got disqualified. Chris McCarron was aboard, and then I think 3 or 4 weeks later, Ellie Sheba shows up in the Kentucky Derby, and Jack Vandenberg wins with Ellie Sheba in that race, the coveted Kentucky Derby. Santa Anita we go. First of all, good job on the radio yesterday from you two knuckleheads lining up down at Gulfstream Park. And I say that affectionately, knuckleheads, because, the best TV show is PTI, pardon the interruption, with Michael and Tony. I mean, they just break it down like we break it down. And we broke down that race yesterday. And, the captain was high on the 5. It paid $12, $13.80. And Tommy D, you added a horse in that segment that we talked. It was like the 7th or 8th race at Gulfstream Park. I have it right here. I should go right to it because it was pretty interesting handicapping. And it's one of the races yesterday when I looked at the card, Dad, I start making dots because we had Tyler Gaffalione's agent on yesterday, and he talked about a couple horses that his jockey, what's his jockey's name?
Tyler Gaffalione.
Tyler Gaffalione was on. And so we sort of got distracted in that. But the 9th race, when we opened it up, the captain went to number 5, The Way They Win. It was a 3-1 with J.L. Ortiz. And that horse drifted up and won like a champ. It paid $13. We liked the 8th, Andina del Sur, which was 9-2. Joel Rosario was on. So that was the 5 and 8. And then we had, Matt come on and he talked about Golden Orb. So I made a little dot there. But Tommy D, you came in with another horse that was ridden by Jose Lascano that was 5-1 that drifted up to almost 9-1. And that was Closer Steel. That was the 3. Now, if anybody who was listening to this radio program would have played those 4 horses, they would have had a return of $125 for a 50-cent trifecta box because it ran 5, 3, 8. And basically, if you don't add the 2, which is Golden Orb, ridden by Gaffalione, then you hit it cold. 3 horses, $6. Right? No, $3 for $125. So the investment of $3 to win $125, I think that's a pretty nice overlay. Nice job from both you guys.
Thank you, Felix. Looking at race 1 at Santa Anita, 6.5 on the turf. The rail's out at 10 feet. We do have maidens. We have a field of 11 going before pre-scratches. Let's go all the way to the outside. And let's take a look at Scrambled, Little Red Feather Stables, Tappet Horse. They had to pay $300,000 from the get for this horse. Egg Drop, really nice horse. So you're looking at a really nice sprinter, nice horse that can go either way on the turf or dirt. Phil D'Amato, Tiago Pereira. I like the way the horse has been working, breaking from the outside. That's where you want to be here. Also, I like the looks of Eskimo Roses. This horse has a ton of early speed. Was second over to this course two back, and then Jungle Warfare. Dropping down from a mile on the turf down to 6.5. Mikey Smith takes over. Mike Smith, first race, on a maiden. You got to throw him in there. I'll be using the 11 scrambled, first time out, 6-1 as my top pick. I like Jungle Warfare, number 1, as my second pick, and Eskimo Roses, number 5, my third pick. 11-1-5 in the first at Santa Anita.
All right, nice job. Tiago Pereira, by the way, has been extremely good, and he's been extremely hot. As a matter of fact, another trainer you might want to keep your eyes open to, because all of a sudden he has awakened in a flourish, is Ed Moger Jr. He won with 2 horses over the weekend here. One up north that paid $54 yesterday, and he had a Tiago Pereira that paid $38 earlier in the week. I just want to quickly go through it. Okay, I want your top picks. In these first 5 races. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take both your pick and the captain's pick, and each just a top pick, and we're going to put a shell of a pick 5, because this is a pretty good card at Santa Anita today. You got full fields, Tommy D. You got a lot of value, and I think that we need to go ahead and zero in on getting some top picks, because I think you're coming up to a big race, TD. So what do you have?
Yeah, taking a look at the first race, I like number 9 would be my top choice, Impeditu. This horse, Mike McCarthy, first-time starter, Flavian Pratt. The number's not that great, but McCarthy is running at 30%. He has 10 starts, 3 wins, one place,
yesterday,
1 show. Yeah, and then you see Flavian Pratt to get aboard, so you got to love that, and it's on the turf, so that catches my eye. Number 5, Eskimo Roses, is going to be the favorite. It will be on my ticket. I'm going to try to beat it. The blinkers are going to be coming off, hopefully help the horse. I think this horse should be in front and is going to try to steal it. And then number 11, another first-time starter that caught my eye, Scrambled, D'Amato, Tiago Pereira, Little Feather Racing. This horse has average to good workouts. The jockey trainer, 27% on 30 mounts. I like it. And then I'm going to throw one more in there, one Jungle Warfare. When you put Hollendorfer and Mike Smith together, this horse finished third in its last. It's going to be taking a little bit of shortening up from 1 mile to 6.5, but Mike Smith knows how to get it done. So I'll be using 1, 5, 9, 11 here in race 1.
All right, who's your key choice? Your key choice in race
I'm
number 2?
I'm going to go with the first-time starter, number 9, at 6-1.
In the first race. In race number 2, who's your key choice?
Yeah, I would use number 2, Executive Cat would be my key choice in race
Tony
number 2.
Blackjack?
Yeah. No, number 5, Executive Cat. Mark Glatt with
gotcha.
Evan Roman. This horse won last time, claiming 225. I like it. I got the chances.
Mark Glatt's been extremely dangerous over the last 10 days. You got to watch everything Mark Glatt brings to the track. I mean, he's winning with a number of jockeys. Whitey McCarthy, as you mentioned, wins yesterday, and you know who he's teaming up very nicely with a jockey-trainer combination is Drayden Van Dyke. So Drayden Van Dyke and Whitey McCarthy have been off the charts. Captain, who's your key selection race 2?
Key selection race 2, I do like Tony Blackjack a little bit, but if I'm going to have one pick in this race, it's going to be Hardcore Troubadour. I don't like the jockey. I do like the trainer, owner-trainer Edward Freeman. Ruben Fernandez just has a little bit more to learn about racing, I believe. I don't like him, but it's the best horse in the race, I feel. I'd be using the 3 too, but my top pick would be the 3 in the second race at Santa Anita.
All right, 3, and then Tommy, yours is the 5. Okay, Captain, let's go to the third race. It's a maiden claiming race now, a field of 7. Who's your key choice here?
Wow, looking at Boy Howdy on the outside at 6-1, sure does look nice. Second and neck last time out. The tough but nice, won by 3/4, optional claiming. They're at the same level right now. But in this race, believe it or not, I do like the 4-horse Married to the Music coming in from Belmont for David Jacobson. Stuart Elliott rides at 3-1, coming in at 32,000, trying to work the ship and stay here. I like Married to the Music. I'd use that as my top pick. I also like the 5 Tough Be Nice and the 7 Boy Howdy, but the top pick would be the 4 Married to the Music.
All right, 4, but keep your eye on that 5 and 7 as well. Tommy D, inside the studio we go. What do you think?
Yeah, my top choice is number 4, Married to the Music. This horse is shipping in from Belmont, shortening up from 1 mile. I like the chances, Elliott aboard, and, if I had to give you another one, but because it'll be a number 1, Distinctive B. This horse is dropping big time in class. Third in its last race at a higher level. It should be in the mix. 4 starts, 3 place, and 1 show for Peter Miller in 2017. 9-5 morning line, so that caught my eye too. But I like 4 as my top choice.
All right, let's go right back to the 5th race then, or the actually. What race would we just talk? Okay, we're in the 4th now.
Yeah.
So who's your key? You like the 4 in race number 3.
That is correct.
All right. Stuart Elliott riding very well right now. Okay, Stuart Elliott is riding very, very sharp right now. He won a race yesterday, had a very nice price. He won 2 earlier in the week. Now we go to the 4th race. Who's your key selection in the 4th?
My key selection in the 4th is actually going to be number 5, Arch of Troy.
Why?
This
Stuart
horse,
Elliott again.
No, Elliott's up. You're right. Elliott is going to be up on the horse.
Why?
But this horse won last time on the track. And if you take a look at this guy's numbers, I don't know much about this trainer, but he is an allowance. He's at 50%. He's a 33% trainer. When this guy comes to town, you want to pay attention to him. He's going to be shortening up. He went a little bit more in distance. Stuart Elliott back aboard. I like it a lot. I think it's a nice little play at 12-1. I think it could show up. I do think this race is wide open, though. So that's why it is my top choice at 12-1. Because number 3, Moonless Sky, when I first took a look, I thought it was a single. Then I kept on digging a little deeper. Then I looked at number 2, Blame It on Alpine. I like that horse. And then number 8, Meadow Sweet. But if I had to give you one, number 5, Arch of Troy, because of the price at 12-1, win, play, show. Why not?
All right, so you like the 5, but you're also looking at the 2, which is Blaming on Alpine.
Alfie.
Oh, Alfie.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's all right. Moonless Sky is the 3, and then you did you say something about the 4 as well, or the 8?
Is the 8 I mentioned.
All right, the 8 Meadow Sweet with Van Dyke is 6-1. All right, so then I think this is wide open. What do you think, Captain? Who's your key choice?
Well, looking at this race, I had to have 4 horses here.
But who would be your key choice?
Key choice would be Sweet Charity.
Okay.
Because the horse has been 2 seconds, 2 wins, 3 seconds, and a third last 6 races. One of them being the Santa Ana, going 1 1/8 on the turf. Favored last time out at 7-5. Came up short. Just came up short with a little bit of trouble. I feel Bejarano, Sadler, Costa Hronis at Hronis Racing, good friend of mine. I think they got this horse on point today. I also like the looks of number 9, Cordiality, the 3, Moonless Sky, and I do like the 4, Frizzy Friday. Phil D'Amato, Flavian Pratt, really nice race last time out over the Del Mar turf course, coming in from back east. This horse could be something special.
All right. 5th race to close it out. To close out the pick 5, I think you got to spread quite a bit in the 4th race without any doubt, and both of you guys indicate that as well. Who do you like in the 5th race, Captain, your key choice?
Key choice, only choice, is going to be the 6 horse, Run Like Rhett, coming out of $50,000 races, dropping all the way down to 12-5, only missed by 5 lengths last time out. Blake Heap, Tyler Bays. Blake Heap's been running a little lean lately. I look for Run Like Rhett if it's healthy. And the question is, if the horse has front wraps, you have to be at the track or watching on TVG or something, but don't bet it. But if the horse doesn't have front wraps, then I'd have to give it the go-ahead. If you look at it, broke its mane at 20,000. So in essence, this is really where the horse should be by using whatever the horse goes for. Maiden claiming, usually drop it in half, and that's the right level. So this is the right level for the horse, even though it raced excellent 3 seconds in a row at 50,000. I like Run Like Rhett as a single in the 5th.
All right. That's number 6. What do you think, TD?
Yeah, so I think the race is a little more open. Number 6, Run Like Rhett, I think has to be on the ticket as Captain Sand, but it makes me concerned the big drop. When you're putting a horse down for 12-5, this horse has never been up for a price. It did break from maiden 20, then ran her allowance for a long time. And to be honest with you, I got to go a little deeper here, but my top choice would be another price here. I'm going to use a price, number 7, Southern Thunder. This horse won last time out, Jeff Mullins seems to be getting on track here. That's a guy I'd be paying attention to.
Well, in the post, we talked about this yesterday. He wins the stake race yesterday. Jeff Mullins won earlier in the week. You got to look at trainers, like you said. Mullins is a guy that I'm keeping my eyes open to, and especially, as I mentioned yesterday, if he uses Tyler Bays. But there's, Bolo, be on the lookout for, Jeff Mullins and some of these trainers that are starting to heat up. All right, so in the 5th race, who's your key selection?
So my key selection would be number 7, Southern Thunder, but I think 9, Moonlight Blue has a little bit of interest. 5, Click Jab, and 6, Run Like Ret would be the other ones that interest me there. But I'm going to take a price, 12-1. I like the card today.
I love this card today. All right, Captain, who do you like in the 5th race?
The 5th race, I'm singling Run Like Red.
Okay, you did say that. Okay, all righty. So let's go ahead and put this little pick 5 ticket together. And Tommy D, how much would your ticket cost if you were going to lay it out exactly like you think that it should be laid out? Even if it's going to cost $150, I think folks will chase a pick 5 and invest $150 into a ticket.
Yeah, no, I think this is a good day. I think this could go deep. In the first race, I would go 4 horses here. My top choice would be the 9, but I'd be using the 1, the 5, the 9, and the 11 for 4 horses in the first leg.
Second leg?
Second leg, I'd be using 3 horses here. My top choice is number 5, Executive Cat, but I'll be using the 3, Hardcore Troubadour, number 7, Swiss Minister. So the 3, the 5, and the 7.
We go to the 3rd race, and you're going to single the 4 here?
That is correct. I'm taking a chance here. Captain likes them. I'm going to go with it. 1, Distinctive B does concern me with the big drop, but as I said, sometimes with the big drop, there could be something wrong with the horse. The horse is running optional 62. Now you're going to drop him down to claiming 32. Seems a little suspicious.
4th race.
Yeah, the 4th race, I'm going to be going a little bit deeper here. I think this race is wide open. Number 5, Arch of Troy, is my top choice, but I'll be using the number 2, Blame It on Elfie, 3, Moonless Sky, and 5, Arch of Troy, and number 8, Meadow Sweet for 4 horses here.
All right, and then in the 5th race.
And then in the last race, I'm going to be using my top choice, number 7, Southern Thunder. I'll also be using number 6, Run Like a Rat, and I'll be putting in number 9, Moonlight Blue for Sarah and DeSormo.
All right. So that's 3 by 3 is 9, by 5 is 45, by 3
135.
Okay, so you is that right? Is that how we're playing it? Like
Yeah.
a $67 ticket?
Yeah, looking pretty good. I'm not going too deep. The pick 4 looks pretty good too, so I like the card
late
today.
pick 4.
Yeah, late pick 4. So
All right. Yeah, I
and
do
now they
too.
got double pick 5s too, right?
The late
So-
pick 5. Oh yeah,
Yeah, so action.
Literally, when I'm looking at the racing form, the first race I look at is the 5th, because the 5th is the linchpin. It's the last race of the pick 5 of the early pick 5, and the first race of the late pick 5. So if you can hone that dial that one in, then you've got 2 races already locked in.
But you're playing, you're playing 14% takeout versus 24% takeout, and we'll talk about that on another show. All right, so give us your just think about that. The first one, they take 14%, 14 cents out of every dollar.
I thought it was 14.
No, it's 24% takeout. So basically, and you should know that, and you should know that. Okay, I mean, when
we all should
about
know that. I thought it was the same takeout.
All right, do your due diligence if you're going to bet. Okay, Mister Money Management doesn't know the takeout. You got to know the takeouts of these games.
I assumed it was the same. Okay. I have a $48 ticket.
All right, where is it going?
I'm going to go with the 11 Scrambled, the 1 Jungle Warfare, and the 5 Eskimo Roses in the first.
Okay,
I do like the 3 Hardcore Troubadour and the 2 Tony Blackjack in the second. In the third race, I'll be going 4 deep here. Married to the Music, number 4. Tough But Nice, number 5.
Nice.
Boy Howdy, number 7. And number 1, Distinctive B.
So you're going 4 deep here.
Going 4 deep. In the fourth race, I'll be using the 10-horse Sweet Charity as my top pick. I also like number 9, Cordiality, number 3, Moonless Sky, and number 4, Fizzy Friday. And we're just hoping for a Run Like Red in the 5th to run the way the horse should. And that's a $48 ticket.
That's
50
number
cents.
6, right?
Number 6.
Well, the good news is you guys did that really good. The bad news is that you're not going to hit this pick 5.
You know what? I'll tell you something right now. I think it's going to be a carryover for the pick 6.
No, because you don't have the right horse in the 5th race. You got to go to the 5 horse.
Click job.
I think. Hold on. Let me
Click
make
job.
sure. No.
That is
The 4. I'm sorry. The 4.
Orejas, you're still on Orejas.
I'm still on. You
wearing that horse out.
You give no love to my Orejas. Orejas jumped off the page. You got the girl.
It jumps off the page.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Now the captain said that, it's definitely going to win.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it jumps off the page.
The captain liked the Rams yesterday, didn't he? On the money line.
I like the Rams on the money line.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll talk about that.
Okay,
We'll talk about
talk that in a
next
little.
round.
Oh, yeah.
Let's finish up
Yeah.
strong here on the horses.
I've got something special on that.
Sure you do. I'm sure you do.
Want to pump through this? You want to keep going through San Anita? Do late pick 4 real quick?
Quickly.
Yeah, we got about five minutes
All right,
left.
just
so.
give us your pick 4. Just without the analysis. How are you going to play your pick 4?
Yeah, so my in race 6, my top choice is number 6. So I'd be using 4 horses here. I'll be using the 5, the 6, the 8, and the 10.
Okay.
And then in race number 7,
Right.
I'll be using 3 horses.
Nice.
Oh, sorry, 4 horses.
That's
the
okay.
5, the 6, the 7, and 11.
Got it.
I'm going to be taking a chance in singling the number 7 here. Win
the-
the War.
Wow.
I think this is a big, big horse. I think we're going to see a lot from this horse. It's by Warfront. As we know, very expensive sire. This will be coming in 93 buyer in its last at Woodbine. I really like this horse. I think it's going to do big, big things. 5-2, that is my single. And then in the last race, I go deep. My top choice is number 10, Red Livy, but I will be using the 2, the 2, the 3, the 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's quite a bit there in the last. But I'm got that single in there hoping to make it there.
Tyler Gaffalione, Mark Cassie, okay? You're going to try to get your money back from Fast Boat yesterday, all right? Tyler Gaffalione flying coast to coast, as his agent mentions, to be here and on the West Coast to ride for Mark Cassie. All right, Captain, what's your pick 4 look like?
I'm going with the Jacobson move, going from optional claiming, dropping all the way down to 10,000. Louis Vaporizer, number 5. I also like number 10, Airfoil, and on the outside, number 12, In David Vigilist. Oy.
Individualist?
Yeah.
I like that one.
In David Vigilist, the 12 horse. So I'll be going 5, 10, 12 in the 6th.
All right.
In the 7th race, I like the 1, 5, and 7.
Go.
In the 8th race, I love Tyler Gaffalione in this race.
The 7?
Win the War, that's a single. And in the last race, I'm going to be pushing the button because I think that last race, anybody can win it.
I think anybody can win today for some reason. When I look at that card, I don't feel really confident.
No, I think it's going to be a carryover, definitely.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a really nice day, guys. I think a good betting day today. I love it at Santa Anita. I think we had a good day of betting since can't bet at Aqueduct, can't bet at Laurel. Gulfstream has a little bit of action,
you know what?
too,
Actually, I want to address that because it's a different mindset because you go out there and you're not given a lot of ample opportunities because you have to be particular. Now, you can't bet, like you mentioned. Laurel's my favorite track, so I can't bet Laurel. I can't bet Aqueduct. Gulfstream, I think, is just a wipeout. It's very hard because there's been so much racing down there, and the course is just torn up if you look at it. Mm-hmm. And the fairgrounds, it's impossible to win a race at the fairgrounds. You couldn't even win a race at the fairgrounds if you had tomorrow's newspaper. Okay, I would swear to God, that stretch is so long. If you have a speed horse, and you know what, you're 3 in front, and the angle that they shoot this track from, they shoot it from afar. Okay, so you don't really see where and how far your horse is in front, and you're just hoping that he has enough to go. But it's really interesting venue to play. It's a very hard venue to strike. And then Golden Gate, anything can happen up at Golden Gate. And indicative of some of the pick 5s. Have you been playing the $1 super pick 5s?
I have not been playing.
They roll over every race, the carryover. Have you?
Yeah, well, yesterday, or the day before yesterday, I was looking online and I saw that the carryover at Golden Gate for the rolling pick 5 was $84. The pool was carryover pool, $84.
Well, there's been some nice pulls in the Santa Anita Pick 5. I mean, I paid $5,000 yesterday, so we're out of here. We'll see you next week on Track Talk. Thanks, Tommy D, Captain, Frank Marimati, our guest, and we'll cue it up next Saturday morning right here where we always meet. WSRadio.com. This is Track Talk. We're happy that you joined us. First weekend. Great job, TD, inside the studio. I'd like to thank Wade Taylor, the president of the WS Radio Network. Track Talk, 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Every Saturday and Sunday, produced by Tommy D. I'm Felix Taverna. We come up with the bottom line coming next right at you. Hey, second half of Wild Card Weekend is upon us. Adios.
You've heard me bragging about Progressive Medical Center and how they've helped me feel so much healthier. But one thing, Dr. Agoli, that a lot of people come to you with is just unexplained pain. They just can't get any relief. Why can Progressive Medical Center's Pain Management Center help them?
First of all, we have to acknowledge that pain is for real, and you've got acute pain and chronic pain. Here's the problem. That acute pain turns to chronic, which is long-standing, and no one's getting to the root cause. There's several key diagnostic components that help us get to the root of what's causing this pain. Is it inflammation? Once we do a thorough evaluation to get to the root cause, determine if it's structural or if it's a metabolic issue. And this way, we put an individualized program for pain management involving correcting the spine, using certain injections when necessary, and we get our patients out of pain quicker, and they stay out of pain because we teach them how to live their life well.
Don't let yourself live in pain any longer. Get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today at progressivemedicalcenter.com.
Progressive Medical. This is your life. Live it well.